Well, that's what I love about the Red Tie Community Show is that it gives people a platform that are people that are creative, they're interesting, they're talented. And today, sir, we're going to be talking about you. Greetings, Red Tie Community. It's the ball guy in the red tie, John Butler, your favoritist, most baldest, most red tie wearingest real estate show host and Red Tie Community Show host. And today we're joined by someone that looks very familiar. Hey, Alden. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good.
So your name is officially Alden DiBernardo.
Yeah.
But we might call you Alden Kingwell.
Yes.
Because that's going to be your music name.
I guess so.
We're just going to rename you on the show right now.
It's either that or Alden Kingwell Butler or Alden Butler, but Kingwell is kind of too cool of a middle name to not use.
Right?
But 3 names feels like a little bit much.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And then what about just dropping all of it and just doing Kingwell?
Well, that's what I kind of do right now, but it's kind of confusing for people maybe because I'm not a band. It's just me.
Right.
Even though I have people play with me sometimes, but it's like my music. So I don't know. I think I might attach my first name to it.
Well, I think Eminem did, Marshall Mathers, Eminem, Slim Shady, and then D12, so you can kind of go for that angle. Because your music is so similar.
Exactly.
Well, folks, today we're going to be talking to Mr. Alden here, or Kingwell, or whatever we decide to name him. He's actually, if he looks familiar, it's because we're actually related. We're cousins. So he's a younger, better-looking version of myself.
That's right.
But we do have the same hairstyle, same facial features and stuff like that, so it's kind of weird to stare at you on camera and stuff like that. But you are one of the most talented people in our family. You are a gifted musician, and that's about it. But you're definitely, that talent alone holds a lot of weight. So I'm not musical whatsoever. So for the fact that you to be so musically gifted, man, that's quite a gift.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. So let's start. How did you get into music? Because we're at family parties for the past, almost 30 years, and then all of a sudden in the past couple years, you're like this big musician now. So how
I wouldn't say big.
Yeah. Well, big in our family.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't really know when exactly it started. I mean, I always liked listening to music when I was little. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe the first time that I thought about, I didn't even think about it. I was so young, but the first time I think I showed signs of that's what I want to do is I was 6 years old or something like that. And do you remember that old band Delirious?
No.
Okay. They're this old Christian rock band.
Okay, yeah.
You've probably heard
their songs.
Yeah. Can you feel the mountains tremble?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were living in Ohio at the time, and they did a concert at the church, and my dad was doing security, so I got to be front row. And I must have really enjoyed it. My mom said I was tapping my foot, and I don't show a lot of emotion, so that was kind of a lot for me to do, especially when I was younger. And then later that night when we got home, I had this pink tennis racket or blue tennis racket or something like that, and I picked it up and started strumming it like it was a guitar. And my mom took a picture of it, and it's actually the cover of my first album.
Yeah. Which
is kind of cool. But that was probably the first time I think that started showing.
That's when the seed was planted, huh?
Yeah.
And then so when did you actually get your first guitar and start plucking out the chords there?
So we moved back to California when I was about 6 or something like that. And my mom wanted to learn to play guitar, and we went. I remember for some reason it was raining really hard. We lived in Marietta, and we went to this pawn shop, and we got this $100 guitar, acoustic guitar. Mm-hmm. And my mom didn't really end up playing it much, neither did my dad. So I would play it a lot, but it was a little too big for me, even though it's a really small guitar. And I really started playing it more when I was 11. Mm-hmm. I I would play like one string. I think the first riff I learned on my own was like James Bond or something like that, just on one string. And then after that, I kind of took lessons and took those for 2 years. And that was kind of the beginning of that.
So those lessons kind of gave you what you needed the building blocks to go off and do your own kind of thing?
Yeah. So it was good for like guidance and how to play it and like kind of the makings of it, you know? Like I didn't really fully understand all of it. I just like would read tabs and I knew which chords were which. I didn't really like know about music theory or whatever because I was like 13. So I was just playing it, you know, learning songs, and then I just kept getting better after that. And I think at one point it was getting really difficult because it's a lot of strain on your hands, like especially like your chord hand, just because like it's in weird shapes your hands aren't used to doing, and it's painful. So I was like, I quit at one point. I was like, I'm not going to do this. And then I don't remember exactly what happened, but I started playing it again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm coming at this with the perspective of I wish I had musical talent, but I don't. I'm that guy in church that I can't even clap on point. You know what I mean? I don't even know the terminology on, not point, but whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
On beat.
Yeah, on beat. And so when I see people that can pick up the guitar and create beautiful music like the way that you do, that's truly admirable. In music theory, I mean, chords, tabs, like that's just so over my head kind of thing. But what is music theory? Like, how does, for a simpleton such as myself?
Well, I wouldn't be the best person to ask, believe it or not, but I know somewhat, like kind of, I get the gist of it. It's basically what chords work with other chords and like certain keys, but it's obviously more complex than that because you have jazz music which doesn't abide by like playing in certain keys, like they go out of it. Yeah, I honestly, I don't know much about it, but it's kind of have the general idea of what it is.
What would you say your genre of music is?
It kind of varies, but it's mostly, I would say, like Americana, I guess, because my voice is a little bit twangy, but it's not like radio country or like that. Although I can do that if I'm like trying to. But my natural like singing voice is a little bit twangy, and I really like to play the acoustic guitar a lot. But sometimes when I break out the electric guitar, there's a lot of 80s kind of tones to it, like probably a band you'd be familiar with is like The Police, you know?
Yeah.
Like that kind of guitar tone. So I don't know. I don't know where it is right now. My first album was folk, and then the songs that I've been working on recently have been a lot more mixture of like 80s new wave with a little bit of
so you're your own genre.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you write your own music?
Yeah.
You write the lyrics?
Yep.
Interesting. So that's something that always fascinates me is the creative process. And I've always wondered, you know, like I said, the person looking from the outside looking in kind of deal. How does music get started? Do you guys start with the music first as the foundation and then you put the words over top, or do you come up with the words first? Or is it how's your creative process?
Different for everybody, and it really depends on where you're at and what you're doing. So like when I first started writing songs, I was really into like hardcore punk music, and I would just write lyrics for those and like not even to any music, and that kind of helped me like learn how to write lyrics. But so sometimes, one time I wrote a song where I was driving back home from like a recording session for my first album, and I like just had a melody pop in my head and I was singing it, and then I made a song out of it later. And there's other times where I'll have like guitar riffs or chord progressions that I've been sitting on forever, and then I have a lyric that I've written down in my notes that I'll pick out and make a song out of. And there's other times too where I just sit down with a guitar and just start singing, which is very rare and it's kind of hard to do because the first lyrics that come out of your mouth aren't always the best. So
Gotta clear the pipes a little bit.
Yeah. So like the more I listen to music, like from like seasoned musicians and stuff like that and really good lyricists, I realized it's not easy. For one, it's actually really hard work, and lyrics to me are the hardest part because you're trying to say something without sounding generic and saying it in your own way. If you want them to be good, at least. Like anyone who can play guitar and knows English can write a song, you know? But whether or not it's going to be good is the difference. So I think that's really important if like for me, like I want to be a songwriter and like make a living out of it. Like that's a really important thing to realize is that it's not easy and you have to practice your guitar and you have to like practice writing lyrics and kind of just get the garbage out of there sometimes and then scratch it out and write some new stuff, and draw inspiration from things that you enjoy. Like I actually draw a lot of inspiration from video games.
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like I'll just use words from a game or something, or like there's a game called Skyrim, and it's like an RPG role-playing game. It kind of takes place in this fantasy world of like magic and swords and dragons and stuff like that. And it's like a really cool like setting and like environment. So that game came out in like 2011 and I drew a lot of inspiration from like the nature in that game. So instead of going out into nature, just play Skyrim.
You can explore different worlds from your room.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I guess, inspiration can strike anywhere, right?
Yeah, it really can.
My gifting is not musical, but it's writing. And so I understand that you could be in the shower, you could be on a nature walk or sitting in traffic, and then you'll get a line of something, and it just kind of keeps coming up in your brain or whatever, and then you almost feel like you have to write it down. And then all of a sudden it just starts pouring out, and then some of the most beautiful stories for me when I'm writing come out like that. So.
No, it's true. And I think it's really important to write that stuff down, and I don't always do that in the moment. So
I'll remember.
Yeah, like sometimes I will remember, but there's a lot of times where I'm just doing yard work and I'll get lots of ideas, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna like work on this later, and then I just forget about it.
Yeah.
So like you have to be committed to it.
How many $1 million songs have you probably just shrugged off and brushed off?
Probably not many, but I remember I had a vivid dream one time of a song that I had written. I don't remember what it was. I have no idea, but I remember it being really cool. Maybe I wrote it already. I don't know, but I always think about that. It's really strange.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of songs and writing songs, you actually have 2 songs that you're going to perform, but we'll start off with the first one here, and then we'll have you play it, and then we'll talk about it, talk about how that song came together. So let's check out Alden Kingwell, or Kingwell Alden, or Kingwell. Here we are.
If you wanna know the reason love through cracks in the doors. My chains have all been broken, but I haven't left myself. Just blaming all the shadows standing at the gates of hell. I'm staring at my reflection in the lake of fire, throwing myself to the mercy of a dungeon spire. I don't wanna feel the burning, to feel the burning, to feel the burning, but it ain't something I can control. To feel the burning, to feel the burning. I'm stumbling down a hallway in a house of indecision, carrying the excess of a sin that's been forgiven, breaking all the windows, hoping that some light will shine in and scatter all the shadows dancing on top of my chest. I'm staring at my reflection in the lake of fire, throwing myself to the mercy of a dungeon spire. And I don't wanna feel the burning, to feel the burning, to feel the burning, but it ain't something I can control. To feel the burning, to feel the burning.
Well done, man.
Thank you.
Well done. That was amazing, man.
Thank
So where did that song come from? How did you put that together?
you. Well, I started off with that riff, the like the finger picking riff, and actually like the recorded version of that song that I have right now is like me strumming it
Mm-hmm.
and like a lot of electric guitars and stuff like that. But the song itself, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what came of it lyrically. I'm really talking about like my own personal struggles, you know, and I really like the imagery of the song, and I wanted to make something that like painted an image in your head,
Yeah.
you know, especially of like the song is talking about, like, your own darkness
Mm-hmm.
that's inside. And like one of my favorite lines that's in that song, that's probably one of my favorite ones I've ever written, is I'm staring at my reflection in the lake of fire. Because we do that a lot, like we look at ourselves through a perspective that's very dark and skewed. And so I just wanted to like sing about that, I don't know.
That's where those good lyrics come from, is when you're vulnerable, you're authentic, and the brightest minds have the darkest corners.
Yeah.
And you could feel that through that song. And I think, if we're all honest with ourselves, we walk by the lake of fire all too often, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
And being in the house and crawling on the floor and looking for love through the door and breaking windows. I mean, the imagery and the metaphors of it were just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So it really comes along.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. So you got another one for us?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's roll with it.
This is a song I wrote with my old band Desert Hounds. Shout out to the boys. This is like a heartbreak song, I guess. Yeah.
Those are always good.
Yeah. Usually, sometimes they're not. Got a lot to live for, but I'm not afraid to die. In your arms is where I wanna sleep. So put me out of my misery, baby. I'm just dying to know how you feel about me. Caught between these taming blues and all 5 kinds of rain over a forest of blame. They said that things would get better. I don't know what that means, 'cause my mind is a shipwreck washing up on the shores of hell. I don't mean to bother you, baby. I'm just trying to cope with your distance. Someone's gotta save me from this hole that I've been digging ever since you left me here. I don't mean to burden you, honey. I just wanna lay down with you in my arms. Said that things will get better. I don't know what that means, 'cause my mind is a shipwreck washing up on the shores of hell. Got a lot to live for, but I'm not afraid to die. In your arms is where Got a lot to live for, but that don't mean I'm alive. On the inside, I'm tearing myself apart. Said that things would get better. I don't know what that means, 'cause my mind is a shipwreck, washing up on the shores of hell. Said that things would get better. I don't know what that means, 'cause my mind is a shipwreck, washing up on the shores of
That was awesome, man.
Thanks.
So who was that about? Where'd that story come from?
Well, I won't say who, even though we're friends and all that. But yeah, it was kind of just like, it was someone far away.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll put this over here real quick. Someone who kind of lived farther away from me, and I had a crush on her, and she kind of had a crush on me, you know, like here and there. We'd see each other every like 6 months or something like that, and nothing ever came of it, and I would always get sad about it, you know. So I wrote that song, like just trying to cope with the distance, or I don't mean to bother you, you know, like I always get that feeling like I'm bothering someone, you know, yeah. So that's kind of how that came about. But the recorded version is not acoustic, it's electric, and it's a very 80s style sounding, or 90s, like early 90s like sounding. And that riff, it's a riff usually, but I was doing a little walk down there after the chorus. Yeah, I don't even know my own songs, but but the riff that I wrote is actually how that song kind of started musically. So like I had that riff and then kind of just built it from there. I had to write a verse and chorus and all that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. So if somebody wanted to hear that electric version, is it online anywhere? Is it on YouTube or anything like that?
Yeah, so it's on Spotify and I think iTunes as well. And it might be on YouTube also. But it's from my old band, Desert Hounds.
Okay.
And it's off the album Shooting Sorrow. It's an EP. It's should be on Spotify.
Nice.
Some good stuff on there.
So if they search on Spotify for Desert Hounds,
yeah,
and then that'll be the way to plug in on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So looking towards the future, you are going to be leaving Southern California to chase down your dreams, and where are you going to do that at?
I am attempting to move to Nashville, hopefully sometime this year, and going to go work at a coffee shop or something and go play open mics, meet people, because when I was there for a week in April, I like encountered like so many cool people, and actually one person I met, I went to like a little show at a place called The Basement, and she had tweeted that like everyone go to this show. So I was like, I have nothing to do, I'll just walk there. It was like a half an hour walk or something like that. And she actually, the person who tweeted this, makes music. Her name's Molly Pardon, and I really liked her music, and I was like, oh, I'll go like check it out. And I was like sitting in the back of the bar, and like I saw her walk in. I was like, oh, like that's her. That's cool. But I was just like, they're listening to music, drinking a glass of whiskey, and she ends up standing right next to me. And we played Words with Friends before, like a lot, and I would always beat her. And the opening act guy like came up and started talking to her. I was like, hey, like I know you. And he assumed like I was a part of like the conversation or whatever, like with her. And he asked my name. And I said, I mentioned like I was from California or something like that. And he walked away. She was like, so, what are you doing out here? I was like, oh, I'm just visiting some friends and thinking about moving here. And she basically told me I should move out there. And
Very cool.
like she had done it and it was really good for her. So that was one of the like things there that I was like, okay, like
Little signs that you're picking up.
I'm here for like a few days and already I meet someone like who does music, and I love being around those people. So it's a music town,
Absolutely. And, being in the right place at the right time with the right people saying the right things can open up a lot of doors.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to have you on the show today, because I think there's a new chapter that's about to be written in your life. And I hope that these video clips will be a catalyst for that.
Yeah.
Maybe a key that unlocks a door, or, at least puts you in the right place with some good people there. Because you got a lot of talent, man. And sometimes it only takes that one introduction or that one relationship or that one connection, man. And you never know where that can go.
It's a culmination of talent. I guess I inherited some musical inclinations, but more than that too, there's a lot of people who are talented. There's that don't put in the work, and that's what I want to do, because you mix those two together and it can be an unstoppable force. And then being in a place where you can meet people to where like your music will be heard, So, and Nashville is like a place where everyone's really open to like new singers and songwriters, even though there's like a ton of them there, but like there's always good people coming out of there. So everyone's really excited to like hear like, oh, who's this new person? Yeah. So I'm excited to move out there and just do that and see what happens.
Just got to jump off the ship and walk on water, right?
Yeah.
Nothing to it.
Nothing much to that, right?
Well, man, thank you so muks for being on the show today. Thanks for sharing your gifts and your talents. I can't wait to see where this story goes, because it's going to go somewhere great, and I believe in you. And thanks for being on the show, man.
Well, thanks for having me. It was a good time.
You got it. And that's it for this episode of the Red Tie Community Show with the bald guy in the red tie and Alden Kingwell. Alden. He'll decide in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So that's it for this episode. Ball Guy Red Tie, see you in escrow. Bye.